Yobo, welcome to another episode of In the Life of MightyFan. Couple things, got a couple pickups here to share. If you follow me on Instagram, you already know about one of them, but I haven't gotten around to showing on YouTube yet, so I figured I'd do that. Also, a little chit chat as usual, right? I mean, it's me, so you know that's gonna come with it, right? I really need to change this light bulb, huh? This light bulb's been out for a while. For a while, and I just haven't gotten over to. But it will get. I will have this bulb changed before Thanksgiving, hopefully. Maybe before Christmas. We'll see. But I digress from that. I'm actually filming this way in this part of the man cave because I completed a project. And I completed it last weekend, so I wanted to get all the football jerseys down here because I wanted to rearrange upstairs and put all the hockey out in the closet that I had in there and move the batting practice jerseys in the closet. I was able to do that. I was able to finish that. So I did recently purchase another Z-bottom rack. So there's the Z-bottom that I got together last weekend and got all the rest of the football jerseys that were upstairs on here. And of course, I've had this one down here for a bit. And then, of course, these are the Mitchell & Ness, and then you have the Athletics over here. And I've had that rack here for a little bit. This one was first. That started the project, and then that one, and now this guy. And I really like, I like all three of the Z-bottoms. But this one I really like because it has the extra little hook on both ends. So if you want to put a little overflow, you know, there's room for that. And you can see there's something on there right now, which is one of the pickups. You know, it's a Jersey Heads problem. You know, you never know where it's going to strike, right? So a couple weeks back, I went to the pro shop at Lincoln Financial Field, and I went there in search of a hat. Keep that in mind, okay? Because I found the hat. I saw this. I believe it was E-Rock. Shout out to E-Rock. He, he's a season ticket holder, so he goes to all the home games. He goes to a lot of road games too, and DJs and all that and whatever. And he's really, he's been a social media maven for the Eagles for many years on YouTube, on Instagram, where have you, right? And I believe it was on his story because whenever the Eagles have a home game, his story feed, it's just tons and tons of pictures, right? From the tailgates, which he's big with the tailgating, right? So there was one picture, and I want to say it was on his Instagram feed. And I want to say it was the game against the Dolphins when the Eagles wore the Kelly Greens. For the first time, they'll be wearing them again in some weeks against Buffalo. Again, I have no idea why the NFL did not. When they allowed these teams to wear throwback uniforms, hardly any game against a natural rival, which makes no sense at all. But anyhow, against Miami. So there was one picture in particular that caught my eye, and it was a guy from standing, and you can, like, the name of the jersey on the back, but he had a backwards hat. And it was this. And I loved it. And I'm like, you know what? It looks like a new hat. It's at an Eagles game. I'm wondering if he got that from the pro shop. Because I never remember seeing this particular hat, anywhere else prior to this. And I'm like, I got to take a little trip over to the pro shop. So I took a little trip over to the pro shop some weeks later. And I found the hat. And it's a beautiful hat. I love that Go Birds with the old, the Kelly green and the helmet. I always like these helmet-like hats, too. So I know my buddy Slim's a big fan, too. Sorry, Slim, it's not a fitted. It's a snap. So I would have picked him up one, too. But it's got the two-tone. It's got the old logo, of course, on the side. There you see it's a snap. All the particulars from the inside. And I love the look of this hat. And again, the guy's wearing it. You see him from behind. He's just standing there wearing a jersey and a hat. And I'm just staring at this hat. And I'm like, I need that hat. So I went looking, and there it was. And I'm in there. And then I turn a corner. Again, I went there for one hat. One hat. And then I saw them. And I saw that they had, and remember, I had I've had my Jalen Hurts, the replica, the game jersey, whatever they call it, the replica, not even the fuse or whatever they're calling it now, right? They had the Authentics, and I hadn't seen any of the Kelly Green Authentics in person prior to this, right? Because they're really, no other place had them. This is the first time I'm seeing these, okay? And I'm in there, I'm like, oh boy, I shouldn't. Oh, I shouldn't. I gotta stop. I had the thing in my hand. The biggest mistake I made was I put it on and I looked in the mirror, and it was all over then. Now, I do get a little discount with my AAA membership at the Pro Shop, but I really didn't. I wasn't expecting to spend. I just wanted to get that one damn hat. And I walked away with the Authentic Vapor Elite. I'm not a huge collector of the Authentics. I might not know all the ins and outs, or what have you, like some people who just go after these and only these. King Leo, comes to mind. I have one, which I picked up before the Super Bowl last year, a Jalen Hurts Authentic, Midnight Green. That's the only one I had until a couple weeks ago. So I got the Authentic A.J. Brown, because A.J. Brown's been balling out, all season. He was the player of the month. He had a great game. We're into Kelly Green against the Dolphins. So I have a nice memory from that game of A.J., balling out, setting a record for consecutive games with 125 yards or whatever it was, right? And it's a beautiful jersey. It really is. And I have vintage Kelly Green Eagle jerseys, and I have Mitchell Ness Kelly Green Authentic, jerseys. So to have like an authentic, version of Nike, again, the Vapor Elite or whatever they call these, it's just something I felt like I needed to do. And the cut, obviously, you can see the sleeves. I'm not a huge fan of the cut of the sleeves. It looks good on me, but it doesn't even feel weird or anything. It's just kind of like, I don't know. It almost looks incomplete. I don't know. There's something, but the stitch work is amazing. That old logo, you see the Nike swoosh, the 11s are stitched on, onto the shoulders. You have that collar with the whatever pattern, they have at the front, the front of the, for the collar, the NFL shield, and then you have the big 11 stitched onto the front. And, that material is just nuts. It's a comfortable jersey, I will say that. I mean, it is comfortable to wear. You have the particulars on the jock tag, and then you turn it around. You got brown stitched onto a nameplate, single stitched. The 11 again. Yeah, my boss, I showed him the picture of me wearing it, and he's like, he's making some jokes. He's like, why are you getting a Carson Wentz jersey? I'm like, well, it's not a Carson Wentz jersey. He's not wearing it. He's now a Ram, so he's wearing a Rams jersey. But Carson didn't wear the Kelly Greens. Said, no, it's an A.J. Brown. Happy to have it. Again, I did not expect to get anything other than that hat, and then I saw this. And they had a couple other players. They had Jalen Hurts. They had, I want to say, I believe they had Kelsey. I may be forgetting about another player, but then they had AJ. And of the three, I wanted the AJ, or three or four, how many different players they had. I wanted the AJ because, again, I don't own any AJ Brown jersey to date prior to this, so it was a player I didn't already have. And again, he's been balling out, so I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna grab that one. So. Jersey had problems, it's dangerous. It's dangerous out in those streets, okay? So anyhow, there's sort of the combo wombo reasons right there. Oh boy, that really, my goodness. I'm having a lot of trouble this year because there's so much Kelly Green, old school looking Eagle stuff out there, including something that got released today, which I will talk about a little later. And it's all I can do. I even saw like some people have been posting, they've been finding like hoodies at Ross, which I haven't found. And it sucks because I like the look of the hoodie. It's a nice looking Kelly Green Eagles hoodie. It has Fly Eagles Fly on the back. I'm like, I need that hoodie. And then the stuff that they're wearing now, you know, the on-field looking stuff, I'm like, just be good, just be good, just be good. I am going to break down. There is one hoodie that I have to get this year before the season's over. Because when it's gone, it's going to be gone. So I need to work on that at some point. It might, maybe Black Friday, we'll see, who knows. Or the holiday time when things go on sale, we'll see. But it's, I mean, they got nice looking sweatpants. It just, and I knew this was going to happen this year because of the Kelly Green returning. I'm like, you know, they're going to make all this Kelly Green stuff, and I'm going to, oh my. Beautiful looking stuff. I really think that the NFL really did a nice job, you know, recreating some old school looking stuff for the Eagles with the Kelly Green. It just gets me in the feels. But anyhow, we're moving on. So if you follow me on Instagram, you already knew about this one. But of course, it's the City Edition 2023-24, the current year, season, I should say, and year. For the Sixers, Joel Embiid. I get Joel every year. I always get the replica one every year. You know, people have bust my stones. Why don't you get the authentic? I'm just not an authentic. Don't let the A.J. Brown jersey fool you. I usually don't. I usually don't get the authentics because the replicas are cheaper, and then I can get more stuff. You know? But I do really like this one. This is the City of Brotherly Love. It is a homage. The jersey is, the overall design is for the Reading Terminal Market. And if you have seen old pictures of the Reading Terminal Market, you can Google search it. It's worth a Google, right? You can Google search it. And there was a sign, same font for the Reading Terminal Market, over the Reading Terminal Market. These arrows along the side, the arrows were on that sign too because it would show, the sign kind of would show with the arrows, here's the Reading Terminal Market for people coming out of the train. You know, so there's the Terminal Market. You can get something to eat. And I love the Reading Terminal Market. It's my favorite place to go to in Philly to catch a bite. Grab a bite, I should say. Catch a bite. You don't even catch a bite there too, but grab a bite, right? So much in there, so many different places to eat. It's this very large indoor structure. You go in there, it's a building, you go in there, and you have your variety of anything you want, basically. If you can't find it in there, you're not going to find it. They got Italian, they got delis, they got seafood, they got, I mean, you name it. It's probably going to be there. Bakery, you have Pennsylvania Dutch, you have just everything, and it's a really cool place with tons of good food. I do have the waistline to show that I've been there a few times. Tons of good food to eat. It's very dangerous if you're hungry if you walk in there. Just like it was very dangerous for me to go to the Pro Shop. It's very dangerous if you're hungry to go to the Reading Terminal Market. I mean, cheesesteaks, you know, you name all the Philly flavors in there, but then they have a bunch of other stuff too. And I always tell people if they're visiting from out of town and they want my recommendation where to go to eat, I tell them go to the Reading Terminal Market. You will not be disappointed. It's cool. It's right in the heart of Philly. It's near the PA Convention Center, if you kind of know where that is. It's not far from City Hall, just off Market Street. Really, really nice selection in there. I've taken people there before. People who have come to visit, I've taken them there because it's the place I think about. When people want something to eat, you know, I'm like, well, you know, the Pachinginos, I know that's the big tourist type of thing. I'm going to take them to the Reading Terminal Market because it's something different. You can find all sorts of stuff. You're not just limited to just, okay, just a cheesesteak or, you know, some of that type of stuff, right? You can get whatever you want in there. And some people have gotten the cheesesteaks in there, and they do have good cheesesteaks in there from what I hear. I know, I live in Philly, I'm not a cheesesteak guy. I like a chicken cheesesteak. That's the type of cheesesteak I like. I like it with provolone and wit. I like the onions on it, all right? That's the wit for me. But a regular cheesesteak, I have yet to eat. but I go with the chicken because I do have my mother's side is Hindu, so obviously we don't eat cow. So we can't, we're not going to eat, cheesesteak. But the chicken cheesesteak I've had, and I really like that. So, but I'm rambling. So the Embiid City Edition, it does have again, based off the signage and the Reading Terminal Market, and it's Reading. Some people say Reading because it's spelled like reading, but it's Reading. Market, and there's the jock tag. And the Sixers are 1-0 in these, by the way. They're doing okay. They're 6-1. They beat the Celtics last night. It was beat rivals week here in Philly this week because we beat Dallas and we beat Boston. You know what? You Rangers and Devils and Penguins fans, you're lucky that the Flyers aren't playing you this week. Otherwise, you'd get it too. How the hell do you lose to the Sharks? Oh, look, I know it's rebuilding, and the wins and losses don't really matter to me. I want the draft pick, to be honest. But you had to lose to you had to give the Sharks their first win? Really? Really? At the end of the year, maybe that will be good, because maybe the Sharks will have like one more win than the Flyers, and, maybe that will help the Flyers get a better draft pick. We'll see. Although I know in hockey, it's like it doesn't go to the worst team. It usually goes to an original six team like the Blackhawks. But that's another story for another day. Anyhow, we're moving along. And, of course, the Combo Wombo reasons. So I got the jersey at Dick's Sporting Goods last week. On launch day. Came out last Thursday, all the City Edition stuff. And here's the hat. It was the same exact hat, fitted or snap. The snap was like $5 cheaper, so I went with the snap. I did check lids too. Lids said they're not getting these. I don't know why. It's odd to me, but so I got the hat at Dick's too. I wanted to get one at Lids because I wanted to get my discount, but is what it is. I like the hat though. I like the look. I like the look of the jersey. Like I said, this is one of my favorite from the City Edition stuff now. This is my second favorite City Edition Sixer jersey, behind the Spectrum one, which came out during the 75th anniversary season, the mixtape edition jersey. That one it would be very hard to pass that one. That is, to me, that was their best one. And that would be number one. This would be number two. And number three for me, even though I know a lot of Sixer fans kind of didn't like it, they panned it, would be the black Boathouse Row looking one. That came out the year, I believe, before the 70s, so like 3 years ago or something, before the 75th season. I like that jersey, and I go by Boathouse Row when I go in and out of the city. So I don't know. It's in the fields for me. I've seen it all lit up at night. I drive by it. The little trust the process deal in there. I thought the TTP. It was a cool design, and I know it got panned and some people didn't like it, but it's my third favorite behind this year's Reading Terminal Market edition and the mixtape edition 75th with the Spectrum theme. Oh, I still wish they would bring it back and just wear it as like, I don't know if you want to wear it as like the statement jersey, or like change the association to have the Spectrum stuff on there. I think I would like to see that either on a white jersey or a red jersey. The navy blue was cool, but if they did bring it back, I'd like to see a different color, because I think it's going to look good either way, But anyhow, we move on. Last but not least, for the pickups, I want to give a big shout out to my buddy Ios. He hooked me up with these two. The story behind these is I remember when he posted these in the group a while back, and I said it then. I said, if you ever move them, keep me in mind, and he did. And he hit me up, some weeks ago, and we were able to get a deal done for these two. And, it's like the Kelly Green for the Eagles, for the Phillies, the throwback jerseys. Like, I just can't get enough. I can't get enough. It's just one of those things, particularly with the powder blues. The powder blues, to me, are still some of the very best that they've ever worn. So I got a couple more in the collection of two players that I didn't have representing the Phillies, particularly for this year, and Mitchell and Ness versions, if anything else. So the first one, they both represent the 1980 season. These were custom done. So I forget the player who he had originally sent these off to Bill Henderson. Bill Henderson did all the customization for these jerseys. So turned them into these two players. Very, very nice. Bill Henderson just says bang up work on his customizations. So here's the first one. It's a 1980 Mitchell Ness, but customized. And as you can see, there's the jock, just 1980 right there. And it is number 9. That would be one Manny Trio, who was a very, very, very good second baseman for the Phillies. And the significance for this, for me, even though I was too young and I didn't see the 1980 World Series championship or that incredible NLCS that took place before the World Series, which was almost like a World Series between the Phillies and the Astros. Some still say it's like the greatest NLCS of all time. The significance of this jersey, now again, it is a 1980 jersey, and the Phillies did win the World Series, obviously, that year. That was their first championship. But the NLCS happened, of course, before that to get the Phillies into the World Series, where they beat the Royals in 6 games. But they took on the Astros, and they won that series, and it was a best of 5. They won in 5 in Houston at the old Astrodome, and Manny Trio was the NLCS MVP for that series. He had a spectacular series, both offensively and defensively. He had a big triple in Game 5 at the Astrodome, and this is his 1980 jersey, which would have been the jersey he wore in Game 5 in that series against Houston, obviously. And so there it is, again, all customized by Bill Henderson. Trio 9, double stitched onto the back, and you have, of course, the Phillies, fat P on the front with the 9. It's a zip up, as the Phillies wore with the racing stripes. And I know they wear this jersey as an alternate today for like Throwback Thursdays, and I really hope they continue to do it. But I just, these jerseys just always get me. And it's always cool to get a different player, too. You don't see, Mitchell and Ness never made, to the best of my knowledge, they never made a Manny Trio. So to have one is very special. And again, I thank Ayaz for this. And also for this next one, too, because in that series in Houston, back in 1980, now Manny Trio was the series MVP, but the man who recorded the final out of that World Series, what could have been, should have been like a World Series, that NLCS, I should say, and would go on with Manny and the rest from 1980 to win the championship, was one Gary Lee Maddox. And this is a Gary Maddox 1980 Phillies jersey, and he did record the final out in the NLCS in Houston, sending the Phillies to the World Series. And if you see the old footage of the game, you will hear one Tim McCarver laughing hysterically for no reason at all, other than he was just happy. He was a member of the Phillies that year, Tim McCarver. He was like a player coach, kind of, and he did broadcasting as well. I believe that was his final season. And he didn't play in that series or in the World Series, but he was kind of in the broadcast booth as like one of the color commentators. And there's old footage. You can find it on YouTube. You can find anything on YouTube. But Tim McCarver's laughing as Maddox records the last out, just because, just one of those things. It was a crazy series. So just knowing that the Phillies won and they were going to the World Series, and overcoming all those demons of the previous years where they lost to the Reds and to the Dodgers a few times. It was like one of those, we finally did it kind of things, And Maddox was the man. He was a great center fielder. The old saying about Gary Maddox was it 3/3 of the world is covered by water and the rest is covered by Gary Maddox, or something like that. Some famous saying for him. He, of course, was the Secretary of Defense. That was his nickname, and he had some tremendous years with the Phillies, patrolling center field, wearing this jersey, and of course the white pinstripe, for those seasons, 1980 Gary Maddox, Gary Lee Maddox, as Harry Callis always called him, Gary Lee Maddox. And there it is, 1980. Beautiful jersey. I love the customization by Bill Henderson. Arced the way it should be. Double stitched, the 31. Beautiful, beautiful job. And again, thank you to Hayes for these jerseys. Very happy to have them in the collection. And glad to add to my, my crazy powder blue Phillies collection, which has certainly grown over the years. Over the years, it certainly... I've added some players, and there's still other ones I want to get, believe it or not. There's still some players from the 1980 Phillies that I want to get in my collection, like Bob Boone, like Shake and Bake, Bake McBride, and others. I would even like to get a Dallas Green jersey, just because obviously he was the first manager to help get the Phillies to, winning a championship, right? So, at some point down the road, there'll be others. This isn't it. It is for now, but at some point, we're going to just keep going. And there's some others, too. One of the other jerseys I would like Mitchell and Ness to do, which I don't know if they'll do or not, I would love to see them do Mike Schmidt's 500 home run jersey, which was a powder blue jersey, but it was a little different than the ones I showed you because the P on the front was a little more elongated, and it had the baseball seams inside the circle. And also it had the patch on the side, the Independence Hall patch, the logo patch that the Phillies had for a while on the sleeve of the jersey. That's one I would love to see them do. Because that would be a tricky one to get customized, because it's not like I can take a 1980 jersey and have it done, because there's some differences with the logo on the front. And also, like I said, with that patch. So there would be a little more involved. Excuse me. Involved in making that one, but so I just have to kind of wait around and hope for the day that Mitchell Ness makes one, and then I'll grab it, man. That might be a first day purchase for me, because I've wanted one of those for quite a while. Because obviously that was a pretty significant moment, in Phillies history, and of course for Michael Jack Schmidt, 500 home runs, and he did it in Pittsburgh. In 1987, I believe, was the year. And, it was a very nice looking jersey. They haven't done any Phillies jersey from that. Aside from, I believe they did the 89, the Road Gray. Yeah, they did the Road Gray 89. And that was the only, to date, Phillies jersey they did from the late 80s, when the P was a little different on the front. And I do believe, if memory serves, that they want to, I think, next season, they're going to pump out the 89 Kruk and the Road Gray, which is so cool. The Kruk and Dalton jerseys. So I definitely would have interest in seeing how those come out. I believe, if memory serves, that might be something on their docket to put out next year. And I hope I'm not crossing any streams by saying that. I know they told me they told me that that's on the docket. For next season. It's a shame they couldn't come out this season, because those Road Grays, those late 80s, early 90s Road Gray Phillies jerseys, oh mama. Oh boy, because that 89 Schmidt is still one of my favorites of all the Mitchell and Ness Phillies jerseys I own. That's still one of my favorites. I love the racing stripes on that gray jersey. The Independence Hall logo, and of course 89. So it has on the other side it has the All-Star game, the 89 All-Star game patch when it was in California for the Angels. Beautiful looking jersey. Mike Schmidt actually did not play in that World Series. He was on the bench, but it was his last season in the league, so that's how he got into the game, or was one of the All-Stars. But he was at the very end at that point. I mean, he was done. He was pretty much just riding out the string at that point. But beautiful jersey, and I'm glad Mitchell and Ness made it. I wouldn't be surprised if they bring it back. I mean, Mitchell and Ness kind of, is kind of doing that. I mean, the St. Patrick jerseys they made this year, the Schmidt, I know the year was a little different, so it didn't have the name on the back, but that's one that they made years ago, which I have, the original run of it. I still want that St. Pat Darren Dalton. That's still one that that I want to get in the collection because it's something different. You know, I have a few St. Pat Schmitz. I have a McGraw. So if I get the Dalton, it would be all the players that Mitchell and Ness ever did for the Phillies for St. Patrick's Day jerseys. And it's a nice looking. It is. It's a nice looking jersey. I've seen that a few times. I had that in my hand a few times and just never quite pulled the trigger. But that's one I would imagine before the start of next season will probably be in the collection because it is one I'd like to get. When I get it, I don't know. Black Friday, I have no idea. But it is one on my hit list for sure. Goodness. So those were the pickups in recent time. I know it's been a minute since I did a pickup vid, and I've been meaning to do a video for that, A.J. Brown, and I just never got around to it until today. The Joel I got, and then these two, the Phillies. Again, shout out to Ayaz for them. I've gotten a lot of great jerseys from him, and I always appreciate, when he hits me up. Sometimes my wallet isn't always ready to do a deal, but he's a good guy, and I've met him a couple times, and he's certainly a Jersey head. I mean, he we know, Jersey heads know Jersey heads, I've talked shop with him, and you can see the excitement in his eyes like I get, for me. So, anyhow, a little chat now because, why not? This is what I do. So, what else has been going on? So I made mention of the Kelly Greens for the Eagles and how much stuff there is. And today Mitchell and Ness did their version of a jacket that was worn only by Lady Di. Princess Di, I should say. Diana, of course, back in the 80s. And I think the jacket was custom made for her. And you can Google search it. You see her wearing it. And beautiful looking jacket. Letterman Eagles jacket. And so Mitchell and Ness recreated it. And it came out today. I had no idea that this thing was going to be such a big move. Like, you can kind of feel the groundswell for it, but I'm sitting there now. I mean, I would have loved to have had a chance at it, but $400, as beautiful a jacket it is, I don't know if I'm going to throw $400 on a jacket. I mean, is it worth it? Yeah, it probably is, but I'm just not someone who throws $400 at a jacket, right? I'm not a sneakerhead, too, so I don't throw that at sneakers, Will I do it for a jersey? I can't say I won't, because I've done it. But jacket-wise, I don't know. So I heard about it. I had some interest. I saw the price tag. I said, yeah, I'm not that interested. As much as I would love it. Beautiful looking jacket. But the craziness that went on for it today, people were gobbling them up. And anytime you have a big release like that, obviously you're going to have a lot of, flippers, resellers. They get their hands on it, right? Because I believe it was on the website. They grabbed it, right? Other places, I think Pro Image is putting it out, the Pro Shop at Lincoln Financial Field, and the Mitchell & Ness flagship. And today I saw on Instagram, they on the story feed, I guess one of their employees went outside with the camera. And the line to get into that, it just kept going, and I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know that there was that much interest in this jacket. I mean, the line was insane, and I'm like thinking, if you're at the end of this line, your chances of getting this jacket is probably not very good. If you're looking for a certain size, because I don't know how many they got in that store. But it's probably a limited release. They even said it's a limited release. I mean, maybe you're just hoping and praying at that point if you're way back in the line. Like, oh, maybe. And it's almost like I can look at that line. This is how jaded I've become. And this stems back from the pandemic when you had the craziness for the fitted hats. And I remember the lines back then, So I know. I speak from experience. And I'm looking at this line. And, it just keeps going. And you have people in Eagles stuff, Eagle cheers or whatever. And I'm like looking at this and I'm pointing out people who could be, flippers. I'm like looking, yeah, that guy's he's on his phone. He's not even paying attention. He doesn't have any Eagle stuff on. He's just there. He's got the good looking kicks on. Yeah, that's probably a reseller. That guy's a reseller. I'm like pointing at him. Yeah, that guy's that guy's definitely a reseller. Because you can always tell. Because they're the ones when, outside the line, someone's going by with the camera to do the thing for Instagram for the story. They never look at. They're always on the phone. Always trying to see, all right, what the price, or whatever they're doing on the phone, making their deals or whatever. They're on the phone. They're not looking. They don't acknowledge the camera. They never look up. They're just glued to the phone. Or if they do look, they don't smile. They have this stone face on it. That's the look. That's the reseller look. If you see these lines, if you're a sneakerhead, if I don't know if they do lines anymore for the hat game, but if they do, for drops like this Princess Diana jacket, if you see someone in line with that stone face and always with the phone in the hand, that's a reseller. That's a reseller because they have no emotion. They're emotionless. They're like zombies. That's what they are. They're emotionless people. They're just thinking about how much money they can make. Oh, I'm gonna buy this for $4. I might put it up on eBay for $1,000. I might put it up on eBay for $1,000. This is what they are. I know. I've seen them. I know what they are. I know that look. I've seen it. I've seen it at the Mitchell Ness store during sales. I've seen it. Back in the day, when the store was on Chestnut Street, you could tell. Because they would come in from out of town, from New York or whatever, and they would have 4 or 5 of the same jersey. Yeah. I remember once, years ago, when the store was on Chestnut Street, when I first started going there, I want to say it was one of my first sales in there. I don't think it was the first one. I think it may have been the second year, the winter sale or the Black Friday. It was one of those sales. This is back when Mitchell & Ness only had a handful of sales a year. And I was in there, and I'll never forget that there was one guy in there, and he had a handful of that Phillies jersey with the Blue Jay on the sleeve, the flannel Phillies, which I since have, with the Blue Jay on this. The guy must have had like 4 of them. And I remember I was just waiting in line with whatever I had, and I'm like, boy, I just said it. I said, boy, you really like that jersey. And he just gave me a look, and it was that look. It was that stone face. He didn't say anything. He didn't acknowledge. And from that, I knew it. And I'm like, and afterwards, it didn't even enter my mind back then about resellers. But thinking back on it, like years later, I'm like, yeah, I was a reseller. And he was from New York because he told them something about New York or something. I remember, and I remember, boy, you really like that jersey. He just gave me that look, and he looked back, didn't say a word, didn't acknowledge nothing, just serious stone face. That's a reseller. That's what they are. They're emotionless zombies at these things. They have no emotion. All that's on their mind is how much they're going to make on the product. That's it. And I guarantee you can ask sneakerheads, they probably know. They probably see these people in line. They know. You can ask Rez, right? Uncle Lou. You can you can ask any of them. I guarantee you they know. They know that look. Now again, I'm not a sneakerhead. I don't go for these drops. When there's drops in stores, I'm not one of those that waits in line. I don't do it. I did it for hats. I'm glad those days are done. Oh, I'm so glad I can just go in and buy hats now. Or hats sit online. Oh, it's wonderful. This is the way it should be. But back then, the COVID years when the hats would go in 2 seconds, oh God. That was terrible. Terrible back then. Oh, and it was all the damn resellers with their bots. Now they don't do it because now there's not that big craziness for it, So now they moved back to sneakers or whatever it is they go for now, I'm thankful for that. God, just trying to get a hat back then. The hoops that you had to jump through. And even in store at Pro Image, their drops, you'd have these resellers out there. Come on, man. but I could point them out then. I could point them out in line. I could tell you that's a reseller. That's a reseller, because back then I could tell them because they would be wearing those hats that were just unattainable. There's no way you can get that hat unless you had a bot, unless you got some sort of hookup or something. You got someone gave you an assist. I mean, it is what it is. But normally, that hat. That was one of those 2-second hats. Okay. On the phone with the hat that you can't get, yeah, that's probably a reseller. Yeah. I think the only good thing that came of that was it put the hats into the stratosphere where so many have been made. And even today, there's so many great hats out there that have been made. There's too many, to be honest. But, and there's hits and misses, right? But I think there's still been a lot of great designs and a lot of great looks that have come out. Side patches and everything, right? Which is good for me because they go with the patches on the jersey, so I'm always happy. But you've seen a lot of good stuff because of that. And the other thing I will say for that is, standing in line isn't all bad because you do have some camaraderie with some people. I used to go to the Mitchell & Ness store, particularly for the whatever sale they wanted to call it, the Super Bowl sale, the winter sale, whatever they were calling. Now it's back to the Super Bowl sale, the week of the Super Bowl. And I would go there early. I would go there like I'd be like crack of dawn. I'd be there 8 a.m., whatever, waiting outside. And I'd always be one of the first people in line. And I would, people come and you just talk to people. And I just had great conversations with some people. So I understand why people do it. Like, there's a thrill to it, right? Everything's online now. So there is something to be said about going to brick and mortar places and being there for these launches and waiting outside. Some people do it just because it's an event, just because it's something to do, right? They get to go there and talk to people who have like interests. They're there for the same kind of stuff. I get it. But I'm not one of those that I want to do that very often. Particularly if I have to wait outside in the wintertime. Or in the summer in the heat. I'm probably not going to be good in those situations. I'd rather the cold than the heat. But I understand, where people have joy of it. But I really would have to really want the thing. Like, I'm thinking like today, what would I do it for? Would I do it probably more so with jerseys, right? If there's some jersey launch by Mitchell & Ness, and it's like, like let's say hypothetical, oh yeah, we made the 500 home run Schmidt jersey, limited amount in the store. I'd probably be one of those outside before the store opens, because in fear of it be like that Princess Di jacket. Everyone, all these resellers are going to try to get it. Be like, no, you're not beating me here. Unless you're coming from out of town, you stayed in a hotel the night before, because I guarantee you're not beating me there that day if you're coming from out of town. I have a lot less way to go. But, yeah, I think that's probably the only thing. I said I did it for hats before, and I did. But partly it was because I really liked the hat, and also it was just because I had so much trouble getting them online. If any drop came online back then, they were gone like that. I mean, you really had to really have like some sort of system to get these things. But at Pro Image, I could just go there and I can get the drop, if I liked it. I could just go and, get what I wanted. And most of the time, I mean, I was successful. Because where I went, there wasn't the big lines. Now, if I would have tried to go to the Pro Image at the old Franklin Mills, now Philly Mills, but Franklin Mills, I mean that might have been more of a task, because that one always had the line and they always shouted out the line, and I used to get upset about that. It's like, why are you shouting out the line? You know how many damn resellers are in this line? Don't shout them out. Don't give them any acknowledgement. The hell with them. They're the reason I can't get these damn things online. So I don't know, man. I'm glad those days are done. I particularly with the way hats sit now, and I know that's good and bad for the business, but I'm glad because it just gives me more time. And on Hat Club or whatever, if they sit a while, then they go into the clearance section, and then you can get a little more of a deal. save some money. And there's still some designs that sell out right away. I mean, just what was it? About a month ago, I tried to get that Astros hat from the Manolo drop on Lids HD, and I failed at that. That was gone. Uh, so, yeah, there's still ones that move pretty quick, but for the most part, you can kind of just take your time with them. It just depends on the hat. Some of them are just because it's such a big thing or whatever the design, right? It's the hat everyone wants, so they're going to go crazy. But most of them anymore, they kind of sit, and you'll have more of an opportunity to wait. And that was the hardest thing back then because the FOMO was really real. Those years, it was really real then because they were moving at warp speed, and if you didn't get it. But I do like the fact that now we've had some of those some of those designs that I missed out on then. They're starting to reissue some stuff. I've had second and third chances at some stuff. Not everything, but there's been some. I know some of them that come right to the front of my head right now are some of those, those Nationals, Washington Nationals, Wizards hooks. Because I remember when those first came out, gone in an instant. Because you think Jordan when you see them, you think Jordan. So they were one of the ones that whatever pack they were a part of, they were gone instantly, and I missed out a few times with Hat Club. So when I had another chance at them sometime later, I was happy to get them. It was pretty much the same hat. There may have been something a little different here and there, but pretty much it was the same hat that I missed out on, originally. And then here it is again. Okay, well, there's my chance. It's available full size run. Boom, easy. Here it is. It's finally in my collection. And so yeah, I've had opportunities like that with some of these. Like I said, the ones that are still probably the toughest are when Lids does their in-store exclusives because you're limited to whatever the teams are that you get, that your Lids get, in stock. I'm reminded about that Marlins hat. Shout out to Slim again, who assisted when he went to Florida. I couldn't find that damn thing anywhere. The Pinstripe Collection Marlins, it was nowhere here. And I'm not just saying the Philly area. I mean, Maryland, it wasn't there. Up in, the Massachusetts area, it wasn't there. So it's not one of those hats that made its way up to the Northeast corridor, apparently. But Slim was visiting Florida, and I sent him a picture of the hat, and he was able to hook me up with it. But otherwise, I'd probably still not have it. I still haven't seen it surface online, So those are still kind of tough. If you see a real, heater, but it's for a team that your local Lids usually doesn't get, it's like, damn. And we always get, like, the same teams around here. It's always the Phillies, obviously, but then it's like the Astros, the Dodgers, the Yankees, pretty much. We got a lot of White Sox for some reason, but, sometimes the Cubs, sometimes the Pirates. That's pretty much the gamut. You might have another team or two, but yeah. But it is what it is. I did take a look. I was at Lids when I got that the Embiid City Edition, and they made another Rust Belt line. Set of hats, rather, 1.5 or whatever they're calling them. And those look pretty decent. That's a pretty decent hat. And I know Mitchell and Ness collabed for a hat with Tops, I believe, like the Chrome Collection or whatever they were calling it. And there's a Phillies one that looks pretty good, in that one. So that might have to happen at some point. I don't know when. But they're there. There's plenty of them. I could probably get it at some point. But that's a pretty decent looking hat. They made some nice ones out of that set. And I know Liz HD dropped all of them a couple weeks ago. Obviously, I didn't move on anything, but the first time I saw one was last week when I went for the City Edition stuff, and I saw that hat there. I'm like, yeah, that's a pretty nice one. And I forget the colorway of that one, but it was the one out of the full set. I think they made like 3 or 4 different hats per team. It's almost like what they did with the Big League Chew collection, if you remember that one from like a year or so ago. That one came out in different colorways. They kind of did the same thing with like 3 or 4 different styles and colorways. And Mitchell Ness collabed with it, so I think their name's on the back. I think they're Mitchell Ness hats, but they collabed with Topps and maybe New Era or something like that. I forget, or maybe just Topps to do it. It was like a 25 annie or some sort of anniversary for Topps, so they put out a set. And I like the one Phillies hat that I saw in there, so that might have to happen at some point. I don't know when. We'll see. I am glad they kind of hang around, so I don't feel like I have to move on it now. Otherwise, it's going to be gone. So there's that. But anyhow, I think that's about it. I think we covered all the bases. I showed the pickups. I did a little chit-chat as I usually do. Rambled on about resellers and how I can point them out in line. They're never happy. I'm thinking, man, you're buying these things, you're making this money, you should at least be happy. No, on the phone with the stone face. You can't please some people, man, I'm telling you. Anyhow, what's the plans from here? I do, and I know I made mention of this before, I did this during COVID for a couple reasons. One is because it was a thing to do, because there wasn't much going on otherwise. And it gave me a chance to show the collection, and not show it not just show it, I should say, but catalog it. And go jersey by jersey, rack for rack, for the most part. And I would like to do that again. This is something I think I want to do every 2 or 3 years, because obviously, the collection then has certainly grown, and I've added. And so, okay, let me rehash it. Let me re-show rack for rack with all what's been added since, as a way of cataloging the collection, but also to show the collection. I'm proud of it. That this is what I do. So I am going to start that series in earnest by the weekend. And my goal is to finish it before the hot weather comes. Because it gets tough. Either upstairs, certainly, or down under lights. It just gets me. So I think I remember, if I remember when I did it before, I got into the summer. And I don't know why I filmed upstairs during that wasn't good. That was a mistake, but you learn from mistakes. I was a puddle. I'm telling you, and this isn't very surprising for those who know me, who've been with me for a while here on YouTube. I was literally a puddle after each of those, because it takes time, obviously. It's 1-by-1 jersey showing the front, back, here it is. I don't think I'm going to go great detail into the specs as I did before. I'm just going to show them. Here's the front, here's the back, here's the player. Boom, 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 boom. Keep moving. But I was a puddle after those particularly the ones when I was filming in the NBA room. Yeah, that got kind of tough afterwards. And I remember it was in the spring or late spring or whatever it was, and I had the fan going, so I had to be careful of this. I didn't want to hold the jersey up too high because I had to worry about the fan blade. And I think I hit the fan at one point. Didn't do any damage, but it certainly startled me. I think I hit it and went, oh, like that. So I'd like to get those bids done before I have to turn the fan on again when we get into the spring. So I'm going to film. I'm going to start probably upstairs with the baseball, the Mitchell and Ness baseball jerseys. We're going to get through those, go into the NBA room, get through those. Then I'll come back down. I'll start showing the stuff down here. So we'll go football and some of the authentic baseball. And I don't think I ever did a video for the Phillies collection or Sixers or I think I did the Eagles once, if I'm not mistaken, or the Flyers. I know I did Flyers, but I need to rehash those because obviously I've added. So I think we're going to get to those. The home teams I'll save for last. But I'm going to start that series probably this weekend. And it still amazes me that one of the videos in that series, the original when I did it, and I know which one it was. It was when I showed all the newer run, China, Vietnam run, Mitchell Ness jersey rack. That video has more views than anything I've ever done. It's like 23,000 views. So somehow that one got in the YouTube algorithm. And it stayed in there. I still get comments today from that video. And it's like, I made this video back and I'm not upset about it or anything, but it blow, it floors me because I made that video during COVID. That video's from like 2020 or 2021, whatever it was, but it got in the YouTube algorithm. I guess it's a video that gets, you may have interest in this video. It shows sometimes you're watching a video, you have videos that, you might also want so it probably got in there or recommended or whatever, So obviously it did something. And I'm not a partner or anything on YouTube, but that's, I think, the one video that I'm like, man, if only I was a partner. That's 23,000 views. Boy, that may have been an okay check. But I'm never gonna do that. I like this bare bone channel, and that's how it's gonna be. It's hard enough for me to go out and film out in the freaking Ross because of the music overhead, and I get the freaking copyright. I'm like, I do need to do some more Ross vlogs. I've been remiss with that, but no, I'm gonna start that series this weekend, so be on the lookout for that. I was also, I guess if you want to say, featured. Myself and King Leo were on a history of the NFL jersey documentary that's on the Throwback NFL channel here on YouTube. I'm going to put a link to that video in the description of this one, and you can check it out. I think that I have yet to watch it all. I fully plan on doing it this weekend. Looks like a spectacular documentary, and I love that channel. I'm a subscriber to that channel. You can find all the old NFL Films stuff on there and some other new stuff, like they did this documentary for that channel. I guess I have a cameo, myself and King Leo, from showing some clips from our YouTube vids where we're showing NFL jerseys. Me from one of those videos where I was showing the collection from years ago, and King Leo showing some of the the authentics, whatever, the Nike stuff. So, but that's cool. I mean, I remember in the summer I was approached via Instagram by someone who, I guess they were putting this documentary together, and they just asked if it was okay if they used some clips from my channel were showing some of the the NFL collection, and I said, yeah, sure, as long as I get to see it eventually. And I found out about yesterday, so I'm in there a bit, I guess. It's, I think, within the hour mark. If you get to about the 59-minute mark or something, I think you'll see myself, you'll see King Leo. So that's cool. It's nice that they reached out to some collectors. They didn't have to do that. I didn't ask for it. They reached out to me, so that's super cool. And like I said, I look forward. I haven't watched it all the way. Haven't had a chance yet, but this weekend I'm going to sit down with it, and it looks great. I saw the beginning, and so far, really, 2 thumbs up. I love what NFL Films does. I've always been a fan of NFL Films. I wish there was more of out there documentaries and stuff that they used to do. I know some of the shows they don't do anymore, like The Timeline and A Football Life. Now it's some new thing, this like current player stuff. And I'm like, man, I miss those old football lives, I think they do an amazing job every year with the America's Game, about the defending Super Bowl champion. The one series I wish they would have done more of was the Missing Rings, when they talked about teams that didn't win the Super Bowl. I thought that was fascinating. I love those. The 98 Vikings were in there, the Air Coryell Chargers, the 70s Vikings. Goodness, there was one other. Oh, the Bills. Oh, Oh, I forget if it was the Bill. I know they did the Bengals. They did the '88 Bengals. I forget. I don't remember if they did the Bill. I think they did the Bills too. And those were great. And I'm like, man, if they just could have made more of those. But no. NFL Films has always been a great thing for me, and local ties, obviously. NFL Films started in the Philly area many years ago, and continue to be producing stuff, and they just do a fantastic job. All the camera work and the sounds and everything, beautiful job. But yeah, so Throwback NFL, the Throwback NFL channel here on YouTube, you'll see myself and King Leo, cameo, I guess it would be, clips of our old YouTube vid showing NFL jerseys. And like I said, I'll put a link to that vid below so you can watch it as well. That is going to do it. I think that was pretty much what I wanted to discuss. So, as always, thanks for watching. Thanks for all the continued support to the channel. Like I said, there's going to be some stuff coming up that you're not going to want to miss. So what do you always have to do? You have to leave those likes. Let's leave as many likes as we can. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already done so, and hit the bell icon so you're notified to all future content from yours truly. And Eagles are on the bye week this week. I do want to get back into the Season of the Fan series for the Philadelphia Eagles. They continue to win games, and after every win, the Eagle fans continue to complain. Because what else would we do? That is, but they didn't win by enough. They're 8-1, and you would think they're 1-8. God love these fans, man. I wouldn't want to be any other fan. This is how you know that there's so much passion for these teams. Even an 8-1 team that's coming off a Super Bowl appearance season is still not doing enough right, because they're not blowing teams away. They're just winning. They need to cover better. They're not covering enough. The wide receivers are getting open. Listen, I understand. I know that there's things they have to improve on, and I believe they will, because they're well coached and they have a lot of great players on this team. And apparently the offensive linemen are putting out another Christmas album this year. So I heard a bit of it this morning on local sports talk. Jordan Mailata, I cannot imagine a man that size has that kind of singing voice. It is unbelievable. What a talent. He really is. He's singing All I Want for Christmas Is You. The Mariah, I mean, we all have heard that song just a little bit during the holidays. So that's part of that album. And they did a great job with their album last year. They're doing it again. And the Eagles offensive linemen, man, they need their own reality show. The Eagles offensive line. NFL Films needs to get on an Eagles offensive line documentary. Just follow them around, because they're all characters. We all know about Jason Kelsey, right? Mailata's a singer. You just the characters on this offensive line, right? So anyhow, that is officially going to do it for me for this video. Again, I thank you for watching and for all the support and continued support to the channel. I'll be back very soon. I'm going to start that updated look at the collection this weekend in earnest, so be on the lookout for that. And until then, y'all take care. I'll see you in the next one. All right, everyone.